I want to start things off with some of our guest speakers. First off is our Allegheny County Executive, Rich Fitzgerald.
First of all, congratulations to all of you. This is terrific. What you're doing, attempted to do start with the microphone. I guess that'll help. I can project sometimes. But anyway, we're a city and a region that has been an innovative place for many, many years. It's been part of our history, part of our tradition. So what you're doing is continuing that great tradition. So we really applaud the efforts you're doing. I know probably a lot of you are nervous trying to see who's going to get the award and who's going to win, but that's the kind of thing that the competition that drives our innovation and what we're doing here in this region, because we know that the world continues to move forward, this nation continues to move forward, and we need innovation if we're going to be able to compete as a region, as a city. We got to need your talent. We need the talent that you have, the brain power that you have to continue to do good things. So I know I'm here with City Councilman Dan Gilman, who's also obviously very supportive of what you're doing, and we want to make sure we support the efforts that you have. I want to thank the Carnegie Library, I see Mary Frances Cooper, the director here, all of us pulling together, partnering with what you want to do in Codefest to see how well you can do. I know some of the developments that happened in previous years have been very, very successful and very helpful. I know there's things here you're doing with county stats that we'll be able to use in the public sector to help improve the lives of people and to help improve the ease and efficiency of. Thank you for what you're doing. Continue the good work. And I guess the last thing I'll say is when you're done getting out of school, stay here in Pittsburgh. We need you here, so we need your talent, we need your drive. So thank you and good luck.
All right, thank you very much. We're lucky to have leadership in the city and in the county that supports innovation, that supports inclusion, and so we're really thankful and grateful to the county executive and to the city of Pittsburgh and the mayor and his staff for supporting events like this throughout the week. If you didn't know, this is the culmination of Inclusive Innovation Week, something that Deborah Lamb, who's the city's chief of innovation and performance, put together. So there have been 60-some events happening all week, all over the city, and this is just one of them. So it's been a really great week. Very exhausting for some people, I'm sure, but it's just proof that we're doing great things here in Pittsburgh. Okay, next up, I want to bring up another speaker. This is one of our key allies, one of the organizations and one of the people who makes this Codefest so successful, that makes what we're doing here really work in the long run. So I want to introduce, she's the president of the BNY Mellon Foundation of Southwestern Pennsylvania, and is really a big supporter of social innovation throughout Pittsburgh. So I want to introduce Kenya Boswell.
I'll stand behind the podium because I'm short. So if I'm in the center, then you can see actually how short I am. So bear with me. Thank you, Mike. BNY Mellon Foundation of Southwestern PA is proud to once again partner with the URA and the Forest Funds to create a special fund to make grants available to support the implementation of some of the apps that are created at today's event. Southwestern PA is no stranger to innovation and collaboration. Through Codefest, we've seen the best of our growing technology sector, innovators, and our government and nonprofit communities come together to address some of our pressing issues in our region. Last year's 5-star development team, for example, created an app that streamlined the customer intake process for agencies like Community Human Services and Neighborhood Legal Association. To see a private entity help maximize nonprofit resources really drives the point that our region thrives when we all work together. So at BNY Mellon, we ultimately see the connection between innovation, ideas that ignite change, with our mission to improve lives through investing. It's the improving lives piece that means so much to our foundation and to me personally. So I would like to recognize the URA, the Codefest planning team, and most importantly, all of the teams that participate in today's competition. So please join me for a round of applause for these remarkable individuals. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can we have another round of applause for Kenya and Executive Fitzgerald? Pittsburgh is a lucky city. I think we have collaborations here that other cities really envy. They don't, I mean, I think we often take it for granted, but the partnerships we have here are really amazing. To that point, to put drive a nail in that point, I want to also thank our sponsors. We've had great sponsors who not only support this program, this event financially, but also are very hands-on and take part in the whole thing. So our Steel sponsors are Google, NetApp, and Uber. So round of applause for them, please. Our aluminum, you're going to see a theme with the names of the sponsor levels. The aluminum sponsors are American Eagle Outfitters, OpenArc, PNC, Bakery Square, Remake Learning, the Software Engineering Institute, and Alloy 26. So round of applause for them. Our iron sponsors are Alpha Lab, ShowClicks, and Wall to Wall Studios. So thank them, please. And then on top of the sponsorships, we also have, like I said, great partners. So obviously BNY Mellon has been a great partner through this whole process. Maya Design, the University of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh Code and Supply, the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, who have been a huge partner, hosting a lot of the sessions and the events. The City of Pittsburgh, the Forbes Funds, who has been a great partner to bring all the nonprofits together. Power Up Pittsburgh, and last but not least, the URA in Pittsburgh. So another round of applause for all of them. I'm just trying to make the contestants sweat it out just a little more. There's a lot of people that have been involved in putting all this together. The people with the gray shirts like I'm wearing are the committee. We've been meeting every other Friday for many, many months to put this together to make sure that we were sourcing the right challenges, finding the right teams, having great prizes, and getting everybody here to hear about it. So that's been a great effort. There are a lot of people, so I'm just going to call out the 3 people who I think did most of the work. Jennifer Wilhelm, Darren Ellerby, and Brittany Schrenker, who I can't find. Yes, who's actively working right now. So we've had great support from all of them. So without any further ado, I want to start bringing up the contestants. So what we did this year is we have 4 categories for judging. We have Best Design, Best Technical Solution, Most Impactful Solution, and Most Creative Solution. The judges, we had 2 groups of judges. They each picked a finalist in each of those categories. And so we're going to bring the 2 finalists in each category up to give their pitch. And at the end of those 4 categories, the judges are going to deliberate again and pick the winners. So with that, I'm going to start with the Best of Design category. And I want to invite Trash Talker up to the stage.
All right, well, hi there, everybody. We are the Trash Talkers, and we're here to talk some trash, literally. So our challenge was to work with the Department of Public Works in the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership to help bridge the communication between the 2 agencies. So currently, the situation is that the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership actually drops the trash, so they'll collect it out of the trash bin, sets it on the side of the road, and then the DPW trucks will come by at a later point and pick those up. There's very little communication. The DPW trucks don't know where these trash bags are dropped. They're just visually scanning to find where these trash bags are. So our challenge, or our solution, is really to look at how we could optimize the DPW route communication between the 2 agencies. And so we present to you Trash Talk.
I think we'll do design first because that's not working.
Okay, great. So we're going to actually continue with the design piece here, as that was the area that we were highlighted with. So as you can see, our mobile app here has 2 different roles, so that DPW and PDP role. We're first going to select the PDP. And these are people that are walking around. They're walking around and actually dropping trash into onto the side of the road. And so their ability here is to be able to see some information about when the trash was last picked up at these locations. And then they have a very simple interface. So they're just going then to actually select the trash can, and they can actually just select a simple drop. And if you'll see, that'll turn from green to red. And that red indicates that trash is there, it's ready to be picked up, and that information is actually being communicated and conveyed to the DPW trucks. So we'll take a look quickly at the DPW role and interface here. So again, this is more optimized for iPad. These are, again, the truck drivers that are driving around in their trucks, and we will select DPW. And now you can see a slightly more advanced dashboard interface. So you've got the capacity here of the truck based on trash capacity, as well as how many bags they've picked up today. Allows drivers to feel like they're making a lot of progress throughout the day. You also have that kind of interface along the left-hand side, and then they actually have the ability to navigate. So clicking the navigation button, we have a route optimization software using the traveling salesman problem that actually allows these trucks to see where these trash are actually located and optimize the route based on that. They also can then also select the trash can, and then they have the ability to pick instead of drop. And so when they pick, that then turns to that then turns again. And then they also have a turn-by-turn navigation here on the left-hand side, so that the drivers are getting that information in real time. Finally, we see Mr. Lee Haller up here. We heard from Rich Fitzgerald. There are a lot of decision makers that want to be able to use this information to actually improve efficiencies, improve operations throughout the city of Pittsburgh. So we have actually created a dashboard that we'll be showing as well. This dashboard is intended for those decision makers to be able to see in real time what's going on. So again, you've got the interface with a single trash. They're able to see both when the time was, when the trash was most recently dropped, as well as the predicted pickup time. So we're actually able to use the route optimization to predict when it will be picked up next. That's for the business owner that might give DPW a call and ask why the trash hasn't been picked up and when will it be picked up. Finally, we also have the ability along the top here, these metrics, to be able to drill in. If we click on, you'll actually see a more drilled in version of the recent performance. So 1, 2, and 3, those are the 3 shifts that the DPW trucks run every day. We can then drill down. You can use that scroll button there, that month, to vary the time frame that you're interested in. And then we also have, so one of the key metrics that when speaking with Deputy Director Lee Haller had mentioned, and we have 1 minute, had mentioned is that we have no way of knowing how many trash bags are being picked up every day and how long they're sitting out on the street. The longer they sit out there, the more rodents are attracted, the more health, damaging things we have for businesses. So we have average time trash bag out, and those colors along the top are also indicating whether it's a good metric. So we'd set a baseline, maybe 5-6 hours is our baseline for how long trash should sit out, and then you can actually click in, and you can also drill down. Finally, we have a locate trucks button, so that when you click that in the upper, and actually we have to first click the drill down, yep, and then go to locate trucks. They can see in real time where all of their trucks are, so that there's no question of kind of what's going on. All right. And I think we will very, very briefly just describe kind of our application as it works currently.
Yeah, so just to start the conclusion, I guess, just a quick demonstration of how exactly this application works. We saw the design aspect, but the way the users actually interact with it is they're able to actually click on each of the trash can locations throughout the city or in the downtown area, and they're able to make sure that when clicking on each of those buttons, they can choose to either drop it or pick it up. And so in this scenario, if one of the PDP workers decides to drop a trash can or say that this trash can is filled, they can use this interface to drop it, and you see as it goes right there, it turns red to show that it's filled. Now on the other side of the interface, in the aspect of the drivers, the ones that are picking up the trash can, they'll actually see an interface based on those red locations and give them an optimized route as we saw in the design component. And so that wraps up a demonstration of how exactly our application works, and we're now open to questions.
While they're coming up and getting set up, I want to also make sure I thank our judges. We had 8 awesome judges today representing design expertise, technical expertise, and community engagement. So I want to thank them. We have Cindy Leonard, Nate Bishop, Patrick Keene, Matthew Casebeer, Karen Abrams, Jay Palat, Minette Vaccarello, and Austin Lee. So they're up here. Thank you for the judges.
What's up, guys? I'm Jacob. This is John, Rulon, and Joel, and we're Team Hyperham, and we got to work on smart trash. After conducting some field reviews with some street cleaners, the operations manager of the downtown partnership, we found that this application had to be super simple. And because not all the street cleaners are familiar with technology, they have iPod Touches, but they have very limited use with it, so we wanted to keep it very simple. So Rulon's just going to run us through the interface real quick. We've got a interface of how the Boots apps work, which is how the street cleaners use it, and then an interface on how the drivers will use it as well. So here's Rulon for that walkthrough.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, we divide our stakeholders into 3 groups. The first comes the street cleaners. So street cleaners, you can see, you only need two actions. One is pull back, one is drop back. When you pull back, it says pull back. When you click drop back, it drop back. And then you can also click your personal profile to see what the performance of your how many bags you dropped. And here comes the UI for the drivers. The driver, the most of the biggest feature is to do the optimize the routes for the drivers. So this is how it works. The same step, you log in our UI and you can see in the real time motions of the street cleaners, and it's you can just think take it as Uber for trash, and you see there are the motions of the cleaners, and you click I want to I want to get a route to clean all the trashes. So you click, you clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, and now you got the optimized route for this process of the work. It's very simple because everyone uses Google Map. So I stole the color scheme of Google, but it works well. Yeah, so that's the UI. It's very simple.
Want to plug in your MacBook, or is it?
Do you have that?
Actually,
Yeah.
let's.
So now we're going to run through a demo of what we actually built that's functional.
Talk us through as you go through.
We have the user interface for the Boots app, and the idea is the same thing, where you have 2 interactions. You pull the bag, and then you select where you're at, and then you select the bag, trash can that you're going to be dropping the bag at, because sometimes the bag is not going to be at the same trash can. If you have multiple bags at the same trash can, it tends to look dirty. So there's a requirement for some streets where they're not allowed to leave bags at all. So leaving that is it. Whenever they have access to Wi-Fi, they're going to be able to update their data with the command central, and yeah.
Can we run them through this, the envision of the reporting, just real quickly?
Yeah. Is there an envision for that?
Yeah, Rulon has some screens. Also, as I find this, we showed this interface to the street cleaning team and the operations manager, and they were really happy with the interface. They said it was just enough. We'd play the video, but it's long.
It's a real picture take from the Pittsburgh downtown.
1 minute. Let's just run them through reporting. Do we have any screens of that, just so we can show them what it looks like?
The third one is the UI view of the of the administrations. It can be a bit of complicated because admin guys are more educated, very well educated. So in this screen, we got the map view, the report view, and there are we can also search the trash bins by the ID, and also add a trash can on the map. This stuff maybe look disgusting, but actually is a heat map of showing the frequency of how many times of the different cans have been put, the trash bags have been put on and have been put back.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, our next, that's the design category. You can already see it's going to be a hard challenge for the judges to choose between these apps because they did amazing work. Again, in a week. Everybody kicked it off last weekend and spent a few nights this week working on it, so it's pretty amazing. Okay, next we have our technical category. What we're looking for here is the best technical solution, the best implementation. Again, there's a week, so it's really hard to stand up a full stack, but a lot of the teams were able to get pretty far along there. The first team that made it to the finals in this category is Cesium. So Cesium, come on up. So you heard some of the questions about how much they interacted with the organizations that they're working with. We had 3 work nights this week, one at the Hillman Library at the University of Pittsburgh, one at Maya Design, and one at Google. At the Maya Design one, they actually had a chance to work with either the civic organization or the nonprofit whose challenge they were taking on. So they did get some of that face-to-face opportunity to understand the problem better, to make sure they were on the right track. As we know, innovation is really only successful if it solves a real problem. So it's really important that we don't just build something cool, that we build something that really works and something that can actually make a change in the city. At the end of the day, the ideal situation here is they solve the problem for the city of Pittsburgh, or they solve the problem for one of our nonprofit organizations, but then they can take that same solution and use it for other organizations within Pittsburgh or even across the country. And that's where we start to really see the scale and the power of what we're doing here. So, think about that as you watch these presentations. They're not just for one organization. They can move throughout the country and really make some significant change in the way things get done.
Hey everybody, we're Team Cesium from the Software Engineering Institute at CMU. Guess what project we're doing? Yeah, we're also doing trash. So when we did our initial research and interaction with the 2 different client groups, which you've been explained about, it was explained to multiple times already, we identified 3 different groups that needed to be attended to. So we actually created 3 different facets of our application based on the different groups. That it is a iPhone application for what we're calling the producers, the people who are actually bagging the trash. An iPad application, because that's what's available to the folks that are in the trucks. We're calling them the collectors. And the management, we also have a web app for them to be able to manage the cans and the employees. So to start, let's go into the iPhone app.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the microphone, just because it's hard to do all that. So first of all, we're going to bring up the iPhone app here. This is my phone. We have a little thing called Trash Panda, and let's open it up. So we're going to open up here on this little camera view, all right? And so we have a barcode here, so people can scan in with a barcode. And, sorry, I can't see what I'm doing here. Anyways, barcode, scan. There we go. If I have light. And I can log in. All right, so we're logged in, and now we can see the map here. Why is that lighting so bad? Anyways, it's a Google map. As you can see, we can do all the gestures here. These are a bunch of trash cans around the city of Pittsburgh. Now this app is for the people who are going and bagging collections here. We have a list view of all of the cans as well with their current conditions. Green means that it's good, it's clean, the area is safe. Yellow means that it's a bag that needs to be picked up. And red means that it's an emergency. So we have a few ways of reporting this. One is you can click a dot here and you can change the status as you've seen before by the other teams. So you can change it to any of them. You can do that in the list view that I just showed you. And the last one, and I'm going to again have to pull this away, is these cans can have barcodes. People can just walk up to it, scan it here, if I can get, again, light. Awesome. And it brings you up to this view here, where you can then just mark it as pickup. It'll go right back to the map, render it, and everything. It's fully functional, works with our backend database, and that's that portion of it. We'll show you the collection portion with the driver.
So, let's see. So once the producers have added the different bags that need picked up, we go into, and we have the same login. I'm just going to pass through it if I can. Is it not? There we go. I'm going to skip past that, go this way to get us a user. Okay, so on this particular interface, and I'm not really showing all of it. See, there we go. So what we're doing, we're pulling dynamically the number of cans that are ready to pick up in an area, the emergencies that have been registered, and we also have the functionality to set a specific number of stops if they don't have time to do this all day long, or they can add just all the cans to the route. Once they're ready, they can route it. So there you go. And Dan's going to tell you a little bit more about how we're achieving the route.
Okay, sure. So what you're seeing up here right now is an actual dynamic routing based on the number of cans that are happening based on a couple constraints of the problem space. So your mind immediately goes to some grandiose problem like solving a multiple traveling salesman or something and implementing it in a brute force way, and this becomes not feasible, so you have to make some sort of reductions to your problem. So we start off with a simple space of people collect trash, put it on the street, you have trucks going around, and that's a very physical space, but we want to translate into something that's more usable in computer space and mathematics. So what we do is we show the picture of from the GitHub site, yeah, if we can get that up. So what we did is we took OpenStreetMap data and we called the nodes the intersections of particular roadways, and the roads themselves the edges in a network. And that's all fine and dandy. You think to yourself, I have a nice graph theoretic framework now I can work with. The problem, though, with our particular subspace is that the trucks, when they go around and collect trash, they can only collect trash on the right side of the road. They can't go across a two-lane street and collect trash on the left side of the road. It becomes a natural routing problem. So you can't just go into Google and throw in like XY to XY destination, have them route a natural route. You have to have this particular constraint over top of it, and that becomes challenging. So what we did here is we took all the information. Unfortunately, the colors are a little not the best here, but there was non-natural problems for, first off, associating a particular can with a particular edge.
We're gonna go on to the next one.
All right, then we're gonna show that there. All right, there's a lot of fun stuff. We can talk afterwards if you want.
Yeah, and the last portion is the web interface, where we have the ability to, can somebody else hold this? Yeah, somebody else hold this. So we have the ability to go through, manage employees, manage cans, monitor the status of cans, see when the last drop-off, pickup, and emergency has been stated, and then we have a report package that we put together, mapping out heat maps, cans by state, average time before pickup, and the average cans collected by day by individuals within the system. And that's it.
Our next technical team is H2P Tech. So you guys can come up. One of the great things about part of why we wanted to do the week-long event instead of the overnight event was we thought it would be more accessible to some other participants, specifically high school students who may not be allowed to work in the library until 4 in the morning. So one of the things that's great this year is we have a nice mix of teams that are from different companies, oftentimes with the backing of the companies, giving them time to work on these apps, several college teams, and a high school team. So we have a nice diverse group of participants who are taking on some of these challenges.
Hi guys, we're H2P Tech, and we did the Allegheny Children's Initiative Challenge, and yeah, the challenge was to make an interface for the parents of patients to interact with their providers. And what we did was we made an iPhone app, and it's a little hard to see with the camera, but there's a login screen where the parents are going to be able to log in. We already have a fully functioning backend that works via an SQL database that gets imported into the phone using PHP commands along with Swift. And the way it works is a parent is linked to their children, and so you can click on the child. You can also, so the first thing you can do is you can record a new behavior. So when a child is acting out, I need to record, for instance, whether they're scratching, hitting, yelling, or anything of the sort. So we have a picker view for that, and any of these can be either picker views or string entries. And so if you were to select any of these, a keyboard pops up, we can go ahead and enter whatever we want, and we can, on the next page, this is all very qualitative data, but the next page is quantitative data. So this will be, for instance, if I tell my kid that he needs to eat his cereal, how many times do I have to tell him before he does it, and how many of these situations am I encountering every day? It'll take the information in here, it'll average it, and then it'll take that data and graph it over time, so I can see the progress of my child. And then the way it'll work is I can do it by date. I can say there is an ideal number of interactions it'll take, or I can I can do it for all the different types. So whether it's how many times I have to prompt him to greet someone on the street, or he needs to be prompted to tell me his wants and needs. Okay, and now the next thing is, as a parent, I can go view their log, so all the entries I've made. These are a couple of dummy entries, and you can see that you have the entry type and an ID, and these will be listed chronologically. So if I want any more information, this page is not set up, but if you were to click on it, it would tell you the date it happened, it will tell you the ID, it'll tell you what the actual action was, and it will also tell you all the fields that you had entered. And so so that covers everything they had asked for. Now everything else is stuff that we chose to implement. The parent can also see the patient, their child's clinic, where they're being treated. They can see on the map where it is. They can see the associated clinic. They can see all the information about the clinic. And they can also see their child's provider. They can see their provider and all associated information as well. And there's an emergency button if something is emergency. You can't really read it. It says dial 911 if you need to. And on the next page is account modification, and all this is not set up in the sense that if you were to actually save it, it won't make any modifications to the SQL database. However, it's just one function. So now if you go back, you can also log in as a provider. So that was all just the parent interface. Now the provider interface gives many of the same functionalities. It allows you to view the log. It allows them to view the parent. It allows them to view the patient and all information. One important note is that parents, after entering a log, they cannot remove data. And that's important because this is a health record. They can't tamper with it. And they can select it and flag it so it doesn't appear in their progress report. But data can't be removed. So they can re-enter it with new information. Now, as for one question that was asked during our initial presentation is, how, if they don't want all this extra information, how hard is it to decouple that? How difficult is it just to give them what they want? And actually, all these buttons are based off of one prototype in the software, and it populates based on the content of an array. And so as I remove the content of the array, all the whatever information I don't want will get removed. All the segues to other screens are named properly to the content in the array, along with the icon images, and that allows us, for instance, if they want to add teachers, they can have another teacher button at the login screen. Instead of patients and providers, they can also have the teacher login, and it'll give them a whole other set of variables. Now, the way we import is that we import with, we have a SQL database that imports with PHP into an NS array, and the array itself is actually an array of entities. So every single provider, it has a different structure than every single patient. And that allows us for a lot of customization. So what's great is that this doesn't have to just be used for this. We can also use it for the Veterans Affairs, someone who wants to log information about their spouse because they need to log information. Or we can also expand it to more medical uses. So we will already have to develop the compliance is already developed. Then what we can do is we can make it so that patients can access their own electronic health records to see what medications they're taking. Or if they're at the doctor's office and when did I take that surgery? Or when did I do any of this? Once HIPAA compliance is in place, all we have to do is modify some of the attributes of the entity. So, thank you.
Okay, as you can see, unlike the first round, comparing a trash collection app and an app to log patient information are very, very different things. So again, a very different challenge for the judges. Okay, now we talk about our Impact Awards. And the first team for the Impact Awards is Team Daryl. So Team Daryl, come on up. hopefully one thing you'll notice as we go through this is that many of these apps could have won for tech or design and impact and creativity. So even bigger challenge is figuring out which one to pick them for, because we're really shooting for all these things, obviously, but we wanted to make sure we recognized that some apps don't necessarily aren't quite as sexy, but are hugely impactful. So we've really tried to make sure that we're getting the best of the best across all these categories.
Okay.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? Good. Right? We're Team Daryl, and we decided to tackle the Homewood Children's Village Challenge. We wanted to build something that would be comprehensive, that would help the students in high school, say Westinghouse High School, have a comprehensive plan that would help them with their post-secondary pursuits. Thus, we give you post-secondary passport. So what we wanted to do is allow students, mentors, teachers, and other coaches to get on with this, although the focus is on the students. This would be something that would allow students to have achievements that they could track and something they'd be able to look at like all along, all pursuing that goal of a resume that they could take to somebody else after they're done with high school. So here you see the screen where you sign up and decide whether you're a student or a teacher or what have you. So we're going to go here. And now we have the roadmap. It's divided into 4 different levels because we wanted to turn this into a game with achievements that would get the students stoked to climb that mountain for success. Who likes Steam or Xbox in here? Yeah, achievements. You like those achievements, don't you? Well, that's what we got here. So you have to get all the achievements in a given level to move on to the next level. So here we have level 1. Now you'll notice that the achievement trophies don't have any color in them, but our idea is that they will turn gold once an educator or some other guardian grants that achievement to you based on the progress you made. Yeah, so here's a good comparison of that. So I'll walk you through some of the possible achievements that we would have for level 1. So the first is self-exploration, where a student can upload any kind of documentation that they want for the personal process of self-discovery. You have all your documents here, and for example, you can have a list of what your top intelligences are. You can navigate to any of the levels that you've unlocked thus far, and thus I'll show you volunteering. You'll see here that it's yet to be approved by a teacher or a mentor, but we're working on that. So you have your organization, a description of what you've done so far, the hours, and the contact person who will sign up on that and get you that elusive achievement. You have your SMART goals, in which you can break those up into sub-goals to fill those up with. You'll see below here small subtasks that have yet to be done, but the progress you've made thus far, which will keep them going. And finally, the 4-year plan, which will show you all the classes you have to take or the classes that you plan to take. You'll see semester-based info on those classes, the total credits you've earned thus far in your career. And here's an example of a class that you've already taken. So I wanted to hand it over to Gersh to talk a little bit more about the back end we got so far.
Oh, I'm gonna talk loud. Can everybody hear me? Cool. So the idea is that we want some way to track data for our teachers to see how students are progressing in their journey towards life. And what we decided to do is make a goal system. And one is, great, you can either complete a goal or not complete a goal, but where's the data? And so what we decided to do is make a weighted average. So when a teacher creates a new goal, they can weight it. So the things like let's say a student wants to study for a biology test and they want to get a certain grade, and so they send it through an interface to say, okay, I want to set this goal, and then when it's submitted to the teacher or the coach, it can be approved and again graded there. So when a student completes that goal, they'll get the teacher will verify, and then it will be on their system, on their achievement page. That's about it. Any questions?
Okay, and next in the impact category are the Bakery Square Buccaneers. So while they're coming up, I want to do a plug for the Carnegie Library because they have been a key partner in the Codefest since the very beginning. We're here today. The team spent the day in the library. Previous Codefest, they spent entire weekends in the library. So it's really been great. I want to specifically call out Toby Greenwald, who's helping everybody get set up over here. He's been the go-to guy to make all of this happen for us, so that's been excellent. And the library is generally just supportive. Also happening right now in tandem with this is a program called Codefest Junior, which is really where we're training the next crop of Codefest contestants by introducing them to STEM and coding and getting them up to speed. I think we had Mayor Peduto and Charlie Batch and the Pirate Parrot encouraging them to try their hand at coding. So that's going on too.
Hi everyone, we're the Bakery Square Buccaneers from UPMC Enterprises. We worked on the InvolveMINT Challenge, which is a group that's interested in spurring community involvement in the North Side by facilitating volunteers. So there's volunteers that are looking for opportunities. We want to make that easy for them to find them, and also make it easy for local businesses to support volunteers for their efforts. So we're going to walk you through the set of apps that we made, and we'll start with the volunteer app.
Okay, so my name is Mary, and this is what you would see on my app as a volunteer. So this is my home page, and what I'm going to do is I want to earn time credits, and I can use those time credits to buy vouchers to local businesses throughout my community. So I'm going to hit earn, and I see this cool sounding project called Summer Community Service Project. And it sounds really cool. It's helping young adolescents do a 6-week-long community project, and they need about 35 volunteers for this weekend for 2 hours. So I want to be one of those volunteers. So I am going to hit register, and I get a confirmation. And now we're going to fast forward to the event.
All right, so I represent the nonprofit. I'm actually very glad we got chosen for the impact because as we were involved with this is greatly going to help the nonprofits manage, track, and plan their volunteer activities. So as you can see here, this is a view that's going to be shown to someone who works for the nonprofit. They're able to log in, they're able to see their events. They've got a total of 3 events set up. They've got some volunteers involved. There's a time credit element of this challenge, and they can see how many credits they have there. So I'm, as a staff member, I'm going to log in here. I'm going to be able to see who's involved. I'm going to be able to message folks. One of the things with community involvement is that we want to make sure that volunteers are, they get personalized recognition both prior to the event as well as during and after the event. So Mary, who's come to our event here, we're going to basically sign her up, and so I'm going to choose new, and we've got a way to also sign up people on the fly when they come to that event. I'm going to go back a couple screens here. All right. And one of the big key drivers for this as well is that nonprofits are going to be able to collect information about volunteers. They're going to be able to get demographic information. They're going to be able to have time, who's volunteered where, and we expect this app to also be able to export information into CSV files for reporting to foundations and other government agencies as these project coordinators and volunteer coordinators need to do for their reporting purposes.
Unplug.
Back to you.
All right, now, as a volunteer, I'm not thinking about any of that stuff. I want my time credits. So how do I get those? So I have the Summer Community Service Project, and I'm really excited about the volunteer work that I did, and also excited to log my 2 hours. So I logged those, and I was able to log those because I was signed in by the nonprofit volunteer coordinator at the event. And now I have 4 time credits, which I get to spend. So I am going to spend those credits, and I see, a deal for free tea and sweets at this place that I really like around in my neighborhood. So I'm gonna buy this voucher. And I get a confirmation that I have the voucher. And then when I'm ready, I go to the coffee shop where I can redeem, and then I choose my voucher. And then I just show it to the cashier, and they would select redeemed, and I would get my lemonade and sweets. So that's the volunteer perspective of this app. We have one more item to show you.
So again, the third poll here is the businesses, the local community businesses that are being supported.
So it's really important that we cover the perspectives of the nonprofits, the volunteers, as well as the businesses who are partaking in this platform. So for businesses, they need to be aware of how many vouchers they're giving away and when they're being spent, so that they know how much money that they're donating towards this cause. And also they can look at previous deals and keep track to see which deals are the most successful. So this ties into their understanding of how they're doing within the community and who's interested in buying their deals. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, we have one more category. This is the most creative solution. And our first contestant there is the Pit Innovators. Pit Innovators, come on up. I just heard from Toby that there are 2 really, really good events that you should know about coming up at the library. So the East Liberty branch has a regular series called Show Your Work, where entrepreneurs and makers can get up and share some of the cool things they're working on, the cool projects they're working on. I actually think InvolveMINT was one of the ones that talked in the past about their goal, their objective. But the next one of those is Thursday, April 28th at the East Liberty branch. So if you have something you want to share, sign up on the website to present there. Otherwise, you can come and see the cool stuff going on in Pittsburgh. And then June 5th, right outside in Shenley Plaza, is a free outdoor festival. It's the Summer Reading Extravaganza. So it's a really big event for the whole community to come and celebrate reading, which, even though the library is doing all kinds of really cool things these days, at the core, it's still the best place to come for your reading. So make sure to check those things out. After we have these last 2 contestants, we're going to have some prior teams, the teams from last year, come up. These aren't necessarily the teams that won, but these are the teams that got grant funding to continue building their app. So it'll be an opportunity to see where they are, what's happened since the end of the end of Codefest, and again, prove once again that this is bigger than just a week-long event or a weekend event. So we'll be excited to feature those teams and hear what they've been up to since last year.
Good afternoon. We are the Pitnovators, the Pittsburgh Innovators, and we are very fortunate and excited to be at the event. So the challenge that we chose was Children's Museum. So if you see the picture above, that's the vision that we have for the solution and the app that we are building. So the problem statement was given that the guides today have no way to essentially communicate between each other, and the traffic is a problem at the museum. We basically then studied very carefully the Children's Museum's vision of joy, curiosity, and creativity, and we felt it's an opportunity to then take all of the three and basically create a very engaging platform, not only for the guides, but for the kids, for people reserving in. So we kind of taken this problem and kind of we have created, we believe, as an engaging platform for the kids, for the guides, and for other stuff. So we'll quickly get into our app. So this app has been designed in HTML5, so it's device independent. You can deploy this on any device here. So there are 4 roles that you would see. So admin is somebody who, like George, who's a director at the museum, will have a view of everything that's going at the museum. We have a guide who we believe this app is going to, really help. We have a group lead who are essentially a guide but not part of the museum. And then last but not the least, we have visitor who are very important part of the museum. So let's go to the guide, and I think the Larry, the guy from the night at the museum, so if I had a app, he would have loved it. So once Larry logs in, he basically sees all the groups that are available to him. So this is his playbook, right? So he takes a look at it and says, okay, I have the Nash 8th graders coming, the Marshall 1st graders, and the Ingomar 3rd graders. So Larry, how about we start now? So when Larry starts, he basically gets an itinerary, and this is all real time. So we have the engine ready actually to spit the data. So he starts at it, and then this is his itinerary. So he goes to the studio and tries to check in. So Larry, can you try checking it at the studio? And then it looks like it's running late. So the guys, they ask him, you know what, let's skip the studio for now. So he decides to skip the studio, and then he goes to the water play, likes it, it's available now, and checks in. He's a very new guide. Larry just joined the Children's Museum, so he actually doesn't know much about the museum. So I'm using this as an opportunity to tell Larry to make sure he tells the group that there is a monument out there, there's more light and stuff. So it actually helps Larry do his job. And then I go to the next, where I basically go to the lunchroom. I actually can show him the menu because they would be interested in doing that. Then we move to the make shop, the museum. So the interesting thing is if somebody is running late, they would basically go and have feedback. And finally, when Larry is done with the group, I ask Larry, hey, how was the group? I mean, I'm sure, awesome, right? So he gets to rate the group in case there's a feedback, and then he checks out. He's all done now, right? But then Larry's a curious guy. He wants to know what other guides are doing. So he gets a view and says, okay, you know what? These are where the other guides are, and he feels very proud that he's actually ahead of the game. So that's the guide view. So we'd like to log out. Let's have Larry log out. The other problem that the museum have today is for booking groups, they actually have to call the museum and do it. It's a very cumbersome process. I don't know how Michelle does it today. So we actually have built an app, and we have the engine ready, where I as a group go and say, I have a 50-member group, or let's say 20, let's go with a 50-member group. I choose a program. So I said, okay, I'm very interested in going for, choose a program, please. So summer camps. I actually get to choose a sub-program, which is basically, let's go ahead and choose sub-programs, please. Green thumbs. I get some exhibit to choose. I check availability. The beauty is, it's going to tell me real time, no more calling, no more waiting. You actually go and see what days you are available based on the size of the group. And then when I proceed to reservation, I'm going to integrate with Children's Museum's current e-commerce app. And finally, last but not the least, the most important for me is the visitor. So Tim basically joins in. He's a visitor. He likes coming back. So for a visitor, since I have all this data real time, I actually give him a view of what's going on with the museum. So Tim is interested in going to the water play. He clicks on the water play. He looks at the water play, sees what's going on. He actually sees the 60 people already in the water play, 20 available. Looks like a good time to go to the water play because Tim is just alone. He goes to the water play. To rate the app, he goes and says, you know what, I like it, I rate 5-star, water play is great. So essentially we have a vision to actually extend it further, but currently we are looking to create an engaging platform where kids, guide, everybody essentially contributes towards making this a really, really nice app.
One more
thing just to add, as you can also see, we are all kind of socially connected. So we have an option to tweet, do a Facebook exhibit. It's a great channel for us actually to collect the feedback from the social media, not internally from the feedbacks and everything we are doing. Just to add on top of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And coming up, last but not least, in the most creative category is the team from Investing Now. Let's come on up, guys. If you haven't been to the Children's Museum, lately they have a big tapescape exhibit where you can climb through this maze of tape. The secret to this is go when they have their fundraiser, because there's no kids around to compete with to ride in all the fun things. So. Once they're done, the judges are going to break off to deliberate, pick the winners, and like I said, we're going to bring up some of the past grant winners. I did mention before that these 3 grant winners, all the grant funding they received was from our great partners, the BNY Mellon Foundation. So once again, a round of applause for BNY Mellon. They just keep funding so much social innovation in the city, and they're really putting Pittsburgh as a city on the map in terms of the kind of things we're solving and the scale of the problems we're solving. So we're very thankful to them, and we're very happy to be working with them.
All right, guys, first off, I would like to start off with introducing everyone from our team. So I'm DeForest MacArthur. I'm a sophomore at Penn Hills High School.
Hi, my name is Neeloy Chakraborty. I'm a junior at Pittsburgh Sci-Tech.
My name is Uthman Fadou. I'm a 10th grader at Taylor Alderdice High School.
My name is Nara Hernandez. I'm in 11th grade, and I also go to Alderdice.
I'd also like to say thank you to SteelCity Codefest and Walter Lewis from the HCV for this wonderful opportunity this week. We chose this challenge mainly because we're the target population of the Homewood Children's Village. They're looking for students to be able to be connected with mentors and have teachers and anyone involved in the student's life be connected. Because one of the main problems nowadays is that students have so many people involved in their lives, but none of these people are connected with each other. No one's talking, they're not getting together with each other, and basically we wanted to tackle that problem with this challenge. So we're gonna first start off with Neeloy. He's gonna look at our code aspect of the program.
Hey everybody, so Uthman and I did the code aspect of our project, and we basically have limited experience in XML, and so we wanted to create this app for the people, including students, mentors, and teachers. And so, yeah, there we go. So when the app logs in, you can have the username and the password, and if you're already signed up. But if you aren't signed up, you can go into the Register Now link, which will bring up to the registration page. Here you have your name, you have your role, which you click on. You can either be a student, a teacher, or a mentor. And we really want the student and the teachers and the mentors to be interconnected with each other, so that if the student has a problem or they want to upload their grades, both the student and the mentor can work with each other to upload that. You also have your passwords, and those are secure. But once you log in, you would be given to the profile page, which we haven't been able to do so far because of the time constraint and our limited experience in XML. But it would look something like the prototype that they made.
Okay, so continuing with the presentation, once you've logged in, you'll be able to view your profile. You can click that. All right, so since we want the project to be able to give the student full control over what they're doing over their 4-year period, 9th through 12th grade, we want them to also be able to implement their grades. So if you want to click on that. All right, so these grades are going to be set up so that it's a 9th through 12th grade, and you're putting them in as the student, or if you give permission to your teachers or mentors, they can also put those in as well. You can exit out of that now. And we have a checklist for the 4-year period, and that breaks it down into suggested, freshman, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. Now, the way the suggested works is that it's whatever you should be doing during your high school career to get into secondary education, but it's not what's actually required. So that would include 3 years of a foreign language, or making sure you're studying for whatever classes or extracurriculars you have. Now, 11th grade would include something like your SAT prep, ACT prep, maybe taking PSAT early fall, that way you're prepared and everything like that. And you can exit out of that now. And your messages. So what we wanted to do with this project is make it so that everyone was connected. So since the target population is students, we wanted to make it similar to a social media type aspect. So that way you're able to look at your mentors as a whole. You can start group chats with them, and that way parents, teachers, mentors can all stay connected at one time. They're always talking about the same things on the same page. And same thing with students. If you want the student to be able to make sure they're ahead in their schoolwork, they can all collaborate with each other and make sure everything's working out all fine. And in your settings tab, you're able to look at who is actually monitoring you. Now, since students are supposed to have the power in this application, we wanted them to be able to monitor which mentors are following them, which teachers are following them, their parents, and we wanted to give them the ability to actually control all of that because we want the students to have the power. And then a resource page. Many students don't know where to get information. A lot of them struggle with, where do I actually get scholarship info? Where do I get help on my calculus homework? Where do I get help on this? Well, this resource page is supposed to have all those links, very generic links that can get you to pages that access all that information for you and make sure you can be successful during your high school career. And there's your list of your mentors, and I think that should be it.
That is all our finalists. I'm going to ask the judges to go with Jeff and make your final decision. Should be easy, should be obvious. I don't know, I'm kidding. Good luck to you guys. And as I said, I want to bring up some of the teams from last year who actually got grant funding to continue their apps. The first one, this was an organization, they worked with 2 nonprofits who had similar requests, similar challenges that they brought up. Neighborhood Legal Services Association and Community Human Services. 2 very different organizations, but their challenge was similar. And so one of the teams, a team from 5 Star Development, decided to take both of them on with a single app, which is exactly the kind of scale opportunity that I was talking about before. So I want to introduce from 5 Star Development, Lou Camerlengo.
Thanks, Mike. Super. Boy, how about those high school kids? I mean, my kids are all the Dice grads, so I mean, all the Dice proud. I mean, that was great and really super poised. I'm going to look forward to one of them buying my company one day. So thanks for having us here, Mike and Jennifer. And what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about the journey that we've taken with our Codefest project since last year. So I'm Lou Camerlengo. I'm the president and co-founder of 5 Star, and we're a Pittsburgh-based software development company. For the past 20 years, we've been developing a wide range of software applications for companies around the country. So I'd like to tell you a little bit of a story to kind of frame the GoodWorks product for you. So this is Paul, and Paul's a pretty hard-working, low-wage income earner, and he comes home from one of his jobs one day and he sees an eviction notice on his door, and he has no idea why. He's not behind on his rent, he hasn't gotten any notices, so he has no idea what's going on. So he calls a friend of his that had a similar problem, and his friend tells him about an agency that was able to help him. So he gives them the number, and Paul gives them a call, and of course it's after hours, so Paul gets a voicemail message. But unfortunately, the message tells him that if he is interested in seeing if they could help him, he actually has to come down to their office during the day, during very specific hours. So this is obviously a pretty big problem for Paul for 2 reasons. One is he's locked out of his apartment now, and he can't afford to take time off to go down to the office, and he doesn't even know if they can help him. So this is Janet, and she runs the agency that desperately wants to help Paul. her problem is that she has a limited staff and they use a paper-based process to determine eligibility. So people either have to come to her office or talk to people on the telephone, and it's a pretty time-consuming process. The other thing that happens quite often is that they determine they can't help that person, and then they spend additional time trying to find an organization that can help them. So it's pretty inefficient. You know, the last part of it is Janet is spending a lot of time, typically nights and weekends, pouring through tons of documentations and spreadsheets, trying to put reports together for funders and to help kind of improve her operational performance. So it's super time-consuming and it's super inefficient, and it happens to organizations all over the country every day. So basically what we developed starting at Codefest is a product called GoodWorks, which is an online cloud-based survey system that a nonprofit can use to develop any type of survey that they can make available to people online to determine eligibility. So basically now somebody like Paul can access that survey. He can find out almost immediately if he's eligible, and if he is eligible, he can actually use the system to set a specific appointment where someone can call him when it's convenient for him. If they can't help him, he gets referral information for someone who potentially can. And for Janet, she gets to process more people in less time. All of the information that she's collected can get entered into her existing case management system, and she has an enormous amount of data that's available to her. So as Mike had mentioned, this whole project started last year when we listened to the different pitches, and we determined that both NLSA and CHS had similar problems, but very different needs in relationship to that problem, and independently they fill out roughly 30,000 surveys a year, and in NLSA's case, about half of those people can't help because they provide only civil legal services, not criminal legal services. So the team was able to create an application that NSLA determined saved them roughly 2.5 people time a year, and CHS determined it reduced their triage time roughly 30%. So it's not to reduce staff, but it's to increase the amount of people that their staff could help. So NSLA was fortunate enough to get a $10,000 award, which they put towards increased development. And then, as Mike also mentioned, we entered our application into the upprize process, and were fortunate enough to get down to the final 8, where we received another $10,000 to receive development. And then finally, NLSA has a funding partner, and they submitted a $60,000 grant to continue development. So over the past year, we've been able to consistently work on it using that money, and we've contributed about as much of that amount of time in our time as well. So basically now there is an application that Paul can go to. He can fill out the survey. The survey builds dynamically based on the questions and how he answers those questions, and he can either get referral information or schedule that appointment. On Janet's side, there's a full dashboard on the back end that's managing people through the system. So she can see at any point where requests are coming from, what types of services they're looking for, is an appointment scheduled or not, are they eligible. They can use the survey if they're meeting with someone live as well as part of the process, and then they can do final evaluation. From a reporting standpoint, she can see a lot of information, including if there are hotspots in the area where a problem's happening. So if they're seeing a huge amount of calls or inquiries from one particular area, they know that there may be a problem there, and they might alert another agency to that. She can also see what type of services are being requested, and if she's seeing that services are being requested outside of her coverage zone, she could actually try and go request additional funding to do it, and she has all the information to be able to present the type of information that her funders are looking for. And then there's a robust survey tool on the back end that enables them to develop an unlimited amount of surveys, any types of questions, any types of formats, any types of variability, all building dynamically. So ultimately where we are, we piloted with NLSA earlier this year. We're going to be starting our pilot with CHS a little bit later this month. And through the Uprise project, we actually met Just Harvest, and we're going to be doing a pilot with them a little bit later this spring. And then our goal is to start marketing the application to organizations around the country. You know, our pricing model is going to be pretty simple. We're looking at this as a social enterprise. So any organization under $2 million would be be able to use the system for free, and that's not a freemium model. There would never be a charge for an organization of that size. Organizations that are larger will be charged a reasonable subscription fee based on their revenues and their anticipated volume, with the goal that we would have within 5 years about 195 subscribers, which could impact roughly 600,000 people and save hundreds of thousands of hours of frustration, lost time, and money for organizations. So we'd like to thank, obviously, the URA and Forbes Fund for opportunities like Codefest, because it never would have happened if it didn't really start here. And then with the additional funding that we had gotten from Uprise and LSC, we're able to actually bring the product to light. So I think what it does show is that these events are really good, but they also can be mutually beneficial, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thank you for your time.
So you can see this is awesome, right? This is something that was built in a weekend last year that has gone on to have huge impact already and will continue to have huge impact, again, within the region and nationally. So that's the kind of thing we get excited about. We know that we're solving problems and then taking them as far as we can. I want to introduce the next presenter. She is going to talk about a project called 412 Food Rescue, 412 Food Rescue. This is, it's a great friend of mine. She was one of my co-founding members of Awesome Pittsburgh, and is now doing incredible things for the city, not the least of which is 412 Food Rescue. So here's Leah Lizarrando.
Hi, there's technical slides in this deck. Don't ask me anything about it. My project manager isn't here, but I'll talk about 412 Food Rescue. So 412 Food Rescue was founded in March of last year. So this was actually, we were incorporated after the Codefest. And when we presented to the Codefest, it was just a small idea. And really, we wanted to respond to the fact that 40% of food goes to waste. That's almost half our food supply that we work hard to produce, while 1 in 7 are hungry. And this has it has egregious impact on both hunger and our environment. So if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest cause of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. 3rd only to China and the United States. So if hunger doesn't affect you, food waste affects you in that way. So the problem, just to frame the problem a little more, the US spends $218 billion, over 1% of our GDP, on growing, processing, transporting, and disposing of food that is never eaten. Over 50 million tons of food is sent to the landfill yearly. An additional 10 million tons are unharvested at farms. So if wasted food is grown in one place, it'll take up 80 million acres. That's almost the size of California. So if we evict everyone from California and just say we're just going to grow food there and just throw it all away, that's how much food waste we have. And it will consume all the water in California, where water is scarce, Texas, and Ohio combined. So food waste takes up a lot of our resources, much more than we can ever comprehend, because these are such big numbers. So we're really doing a better job feeding landfills than using food to actually feed those who need it. So we we kind of approached the food waste problem, the hunger problem, not as a supply problem. So oftentimes hunger is couched in, the solutions to hunger is couched in the question of, how do we produce more food? And this is, partly why GMOs are such a big, one of their big raison d'etre, right? It's like we need to produce more food, so GMOs are one of the solutions to that. But really it's not a supply problem when you think about it, because if we recover all the food that's lost in the world, we will have enough to feed those who are hungry 4 times over. 4 times over. So hunger is a distribution problem. So food recovery happens on the small scale, on a grassroots scale every day. And we were doing it a little bit more involved than everyone else in the sense that we would deliberately ask retailers in our area to tell us and call us personally if there's food available. And this is one of the texts, that's a text from Costco. But the problem was, when food is available, when surplus food is available at retailers, you have to take it out of there right away. in 2 hours. Because inventory, for those of you who manage P&Ls, is a cost. So something that's not going to generate revenue for a retailer does not need to take up any resources. And it's very easy to throw things in the landfill. There's no law against that. So this is an example of we were not quick enough. So we said, all right, let's ask for help on social media. Let's ask our friends to help us, since we have a pretty good network of friends who we know are good at heart. And we did. And to our surprise, every time we post a food rescue, within 5 minutes, there would be about 2 to 3 people raising their hands. So this is an easy thing for people to do, an easy way to advocate and be an activist against hunger for only less than 30 minutes of your time. So how did we do in our first year? In our first year, we rescued over 400,000 pounds of food, all by volunteers. We paid no one to do this. And the impact of that, the first numbers are just our 9-month numbers, is over 600,000, actually over $1 million worth of food. The funny thing about that, and this is again, explains the reason why this is so important, is that this food is very cheap to dump. It's $12,000 to dump. Pennsylvania is the largest importer of trash in the nation. We have the lowest landfill fees, and our landfills are the closest to urban areas than any other city. So cost to dump for retailers in our region, very, very small. So we asked ourselves, how do we scale impact without scaling cost? So there are many emerging food rescue organizations, but there are no process standards. So this has been a question that we've always been asking since January, since March of last year. And we called the largest and oldest food rescue organization, that's City Harvest in New York City. They rescue billions of pounds of food. And we said, can you give us your best practices? Give us, what do you do for logistics? What do you do for inventory? And they handed us this. It's a piece of paper. They track inventory by paper, which makes me nervous, right? Because so there's no processes in place. So I said, well, let's start small. Let's start by coordinating our volunteers, and this is really why we approached the Codefest. We said, if Uber can move so many people, the largest transportation company does not own a single cab, how can we do the same thing with food rescue, knowing that people give their time already? So we have a truck that moves from distributors. We also have a network of 400 volunteers that move food with their cars and their bikes. And right now we coordinate everyone by social media. But from Codefest, we've started to develop an app that coordinates everyone. And it's a basic architecture. Everyone can understand that. And this is the stack. Don't ask me. Yay. And this is some of the screens that we needed 3 devices to fully demonstrate the workflow. So I captured some of the screens from those devices. So this is a login screen from the web admin. And we're able to see kind of on a dashboard all of the day's donations, all our volunteers, donations that are awaiting rescues, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the app. And you can register as a volunteer rescuer, as a donor, and as a beneficiary. And the rescues that are available. And these are the basic steps for a volunteer. They accept the rescue, they navigate to the donor, they get signed off on the rescue, they navigate to the recipient, and then you get signed off on the rescue on that end. And this is how donors add donations. So so one of the things that's interesting about Codefest is because it is, we were working with pretty much a volunteer development team, the timelines were longer. And as the timelines progressed, our business model also kind of developed as we went along. Remember, we launched at the Codefest without really knowing what our scope was. And we understood as the year progressed that what we were developing was a small part of what we were doing. And that's really the full complement. That's the whole business process. So since the $10,000 grant from the Forbes funds, we've received follow-on grants of $60,000 to complete the bottom portion of our business process, and we are raising money to complete the full cycle. And there's no food recovery organization that has that right now. And what we would like to do is to make this app, this technology, it's more than an app, and this innovation to all the other food recovery organizations that are growing in the world. So food recovery is a very young industry. There's only a handful of food recovery organizations. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Leah. I know growing up, I had to clean my plate, and so I feel that anxiety every time I'm at an event where we have leftover food. And it's great to know, and I see more and more organizations think of 412 Food Rescue when they have food that they have left over. They're starting to think, I need to get this to people instead of throwing it away, and that's a huge change for the city. 400 volunteers delivering this stuff is pretty awesome. Okay, and our final winner from last year is Rebuilding Together Pittsburgh. So I want to invite up Amy DePalma, Matthew Sipperly, and Robert Collins to talk about the solution they came up with for rebuilding together. So give them a round of applause.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Like they said, my name is Robert Collini, and with me is Matt and Amy. And last year we were participants at Codefest, and we were presented with a challenge by the Pittsburgh chapter of Rebuilding Together. For those of you who don't know, Rebuilding Together is a nonprofit, a nationwide nonprofit organization that brings together both skilled and unskilled labor to provide renovation and other construction needs for homes in impoverished areas, homes for disabled persons, and homes for veterans. And their problem, their challenge for us was to eliminate one of their more annoying aspects of their events, which was the collection of waiver forms. People come in, it's very early in the morning, no one's had coffee or donuts yet, so they're trying to put together the wits to fill out a waiver form that they have to, for liability purposes, before they can start their day. This is important for liability purposes, and also because it's how they make sure that they have the information necessary for grants and other reporting throughout the year. So what we did was we put together a responsive website that volunteers can look at ahead of time to eliminate the need to do all of that data collection on site. So all they would have to do is connect. All they have to do is just show up that day and sign in with their email address, give the actual signature for the waiver form, and go on with their day.
Great. So we'll just show you a little how it works.
Okay. Yeah, we're just going to go. It's a very straightforward app, so we're just going to go through a very quick demonstration of it. As it's been mentioned, because we did this last year, we did this over the course of 24 hours. We were able to get a little bit of input over the course of that day with members of Rebuilding Together Pittsburgh, and so okay, we're ready. Great. Okay, so
I guess I'll just talk about as I go through it. So basically what you do, I'm going to act as a volunteer that I've been notified from Rebuilding Together that, hey, there's an event that I might be interested in. So I'm able to pre-register if I like, and then my information will be pre-populated when I get to the event. Sorry, this is the part that pre-register. And then you do all the fun stuff where you enter all of your information. Now, typically you would actually, how they are currently using it is they are sending a web link to their volunteers, so this would all be online. But I just want to show you here. I'm not going to fill everything out in the interest of time. I'm not 44.
We couldn't tell.
Sorry. And I am able to select here. Oh, when you put it on the other one, it's not doing that. Of course. We just moved domains for the testing one today. So let's just not do that part. That's fine.
Yeah, we did employ the recaptcha service, but like she said, we were just, we put together a quick demonstration so the domains aren't connected properly, but anyway.
That's fine. So we'll show you what happens now if I go and I am at I'm a current.
I mean, just for reference, this isn't the live site. We didn't want to be pulling up people's actual information here.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure why
hence
it's
the
not.
domain
There
change.
it goes. Okay, so what would happen is the admins on site would go and log in and mark this as on-site mode, which what that does is it connects it up to what event they're at, so they could have multiple events in different locations throughout the day. So it's device specific, so whatever device you're using is where the on-site mode is selected. And you want to talk about how many volunteers and things since they started using it?
Sure. So we actually just checked recently. They have been using the application since January, February timeframe of this year. And we were actually able to go to a volunteer event with Rebuilding Together and make sure that everything went swimmingly the first time that they were able to use it. And checking into it, it looks like over 100 volunteers have signed up through the application, which, they're still using it to this day. And it's saving them a whole bunch of time. So that's definitely beneficial to Rebuilding Together and saving them a lot of time.
So the app hasn't been the app hasn't been live for quite a while compared to some of the other apps that they were talking about earlier. But our hope for the future is Rebuilding Together Pittsburgh takes this app and presents it to a regional or even national level and starts employing it everywhere else because everyone is using more or less the same waiver form. And additionally, you probably saw the logo a couple places. The app itself is called Paper Route. And we hope to make it a more general app that other nonprofits could use and customize to their own needs.
You can also select, I guess I should have did it this way. You can also select, helps the organization track the different type of volunteers that they have and what kind of skills they have, so they know who to specifically reach out to for certain events. So what happened here is I checked in, the site was already on-site mode to say that I'm literally at my event. I check in, and now I can read the waiver form and actually sign the waiver, and that checks me into that event. So now it says, hey, thanks. So now I'll go back to the admin side of it to show you how they can use this to really leverage the data and understand the amount of volunteers they are getting and how to use that information.
And like I said, it's a responsive website. The checking in is normally going to be done using an iPad like this one, and then the administration stuff can be done both with an iPad or with a more desktop-based dashboard.
Which is what they typically would use for the admin side. But
so the idea is that there's a staff member from RT Pittsburgh that's there, keeping track of the iPads. Once the event is done, they're going to come here and mark that the event is complete, keep track of hours for specific people or for entire organizations if a particular group comes and volunteers simultaneously.
It's all here. And then how they can use that information from this page is, like Robin mentioned, export the data, or they can also export the data by specific organizations. So here, just our team name. This is all the people that are in that organization, what event they volunteered for, as well. It would also list their hours.
Clearly, we have not put enough time into this into the system.
Yes, these are all just sample. But yeah, they have a lot of other features. They could also go through and export the records in varying different formats, or not formats, I'm sorry.
Filters.
Filters, thank you. So by date, and they can go through and be like, well, I only really want to know, physical mail. For example, I have an actual mailer I want to send out, or they have an email campaign. They can also do it by event. Code, there's a couple events that we have, or by the different organizations. And they can print records should they need to do that. They can search by name or email.
Yep.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
The big benefit to Rebuilding Together with this application is they lose the paper. They're completely digital. They have all of their volunteer information consistent, so if they do want to reach out and say, hey, would you like to volunteer again? Hey, would you like to donate? They have no transcription errors in email addresses, physical addresses, and the other big thing is reporting for grants. They're able to accurately report how many hours, how many volunteers they have within a given time period when doing grant application processes.
They can also view past events too, which is helpful. So this is part of, say they had something a year ago, and they want to see, well, how did that event do last year? What can we anticipate for this year? They can go through and view all their past events, all the information from there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you guys. Again, as you can see, managing a big army of volunteers like Rebuilding Together Pittsburgh has a lot of logistical challenges, and their job is to build houses and to fix houses, not to move paper around. So these types of applications really make a difference to these organizations. Rebuilding Together is a great organization, by the way. If you want to help go build houses, they're always looking for volunteers, and they always have a lot of really cool projects going on. Okay. I have word from behind the scenes that the judges have made their selections. Before we have them come back out and announce the winners, though, I want to introduce our fearless leader. She is the one who organizes all this. She's the one who keeps us on track. She's the one who makes sure all the I's are crossed and T's are dotted. I messed that up in like 3 different ways. So I want to please give a round of applause to Jennifer Wilhelm from the URA.
Thanks, Mike. I'll make this quick. I see our judges are coming back, and we have the winners ready to be announced. I just want to thank you all for being here, of course, especially the participants who spent a lot of their time into this today, or over the whole week, I should say. We really appreciate you participating. This event started 4 years ago, a meeting between the Urban Redevelopment Authority and Google, and now it's grown into this amazing thing where we're selling out year after year. So thank you to all of you, and of course to our sponsors again. Some of them are in the audience. And we are going to be ready to announce the awards. We have a special guest that's going to help our award presenter.
Yes, I want to introduce our very special guest, who makes this all possible, makes the library possible to all of us. This is Andrew Carnegie. Come on out, Andrew.
A round of applause for Andrew Carnegie.
Thank you, Andrew. And we have our other special guest. She's the Chief of Innovation and Performance for the City of Pittsburgh, and she is going to announce our winners. Please welcome Deborah Lamb.
Happy Inclusive Innovation Week. This week we had over 60 events with 45 organizations across 13 communities. So this was a very exciting week, and I can tell you the reason why we chose this week actually was because of SteelCity Codefest. SteelCity Codefest was our anchor event and keynote event, and it couldn't have happened without you guys. So thank you very much. I also just want to share with you Mike's thoughts on how wonderful Jennifer is. She's been very understated and very soft-spoken about this, but she is instrumental in SteelCity Codefest and so many other things, and we from the city couldn't have done all the innovation things without her. So thank you, Jennifer. So with that, I'm going to announce the winners, but you probably didn't know, guys, but there's actually a prize to this. Did you guys know there was a prize? No? Okay, so before I announce the winners, you are actually allowed to choose one of 5 prizes. Your first choice is a Google On-Hub router or a Nest thermostat. Third choice is Carnegie Museum Premium Membership, 1 year for 2 adults, 8 guests, 1 caregiver. Or your fourth choice is a Hack Pittsburgh 6-month membership. And then your final choice is a Pebble smartwatch. Each of these prizes are valued at almost $250, so there's definitely something great to this. In addition to the impact and generosity you have given us, there is the prize. So with that, I'm going to announce the winners. As I have lots of envelopes. Okay. So will the winners come up and I can give you the envelopes. You can shake Andrew Carnegie's hand, and then we'll proceed. So, 4 categories. First category in the design area is Hyperham. They're not, are they?
Go stand up there for a group picture.
Oh, okay, good. Second category in technical, CASEM. Next category in impact, Team Daryl. All right, final category, creative, and I have to say that this was a unanimous vote by the judges, and it is Invest in Now. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, can we have one more round of applause for all our winners and all the finalists today?
I have to emphasize again that one of the great things about this competition is while you just saw 4 awesome winners taking away prizes, there's grant money. And the grant money is really open to any of the teams that participated today, and the organizations involved and our partners, our funding partners, are all going to be part of the decision-making process to see who gets more grant funding. So it's not over yet. The good work that's going to be built as a result of this week-long event will continue. But with that, I want to thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thanks, everybody.